The transport ship dropped out of faster-than-light travel with a gentle shudder. Through the viewing window, Kira Chen got her first look at the Galactic Academy of Interspecies Relations. It floated in the darkness of space like a massive flower made of metal and glass. Thousands of lights twinkled from its many sections. Ships of all sizes moved around it like bees around a hive. Kira pressed her hand against the cold glass. She was 19 years old, and she was about to become the first human to study at the most famous school in the known galaxy. Her heart beat fast in her chest. She did not know if she felt more excited or afraid. "Human passenger," the ship's voice said, "please prepare for docking. The Academy staff will meet you at Arrival Zone 7. Kira picked up her small bag. She had not brought much from Earth. Some clothes, a few books, a photograph of her family standing in front of their house in Seoul. She looked at the photo one more time before putting it away. Her mother had cried when she left. Her father had told her to make humanity proud. Her little brother had asked her to bring back an alien pet. The docking process took only a few minutes. When the doors opened, Kira stepped into a wide hallway filled with beings she had only seen in pictures before. A tall creature with 6 legs walked past her without looking. 2 small furry beings floated by on a hovering platform, speaking in clicks and whistles. A group of what looked like living crystals stood near a window, their bodies catching the light and throwing rainbows on the walls. Kira tried not to stare. She failed. "You must be the human." She turned to find a being standing before her. It was very tall and very thin, with skin that looked like pale blue paper stretched over delicate bones. Its eyes were large and completely black, like pools of ink. It wore a simple gray robe that reached the floor. "I am Counselor Yethrin," the being said. Its voice was soft and musical. "I am Velthari. I will be your advisor during your time at the Academy. Welcome." "Thank you," Kira said. She bowed slightly the way she had been taught. "I am honored to be here." Yethrin's thin mouth curved into something that might have been a smile. "Come, I will show you to your quarters and explain what you need to know." They walked through the station together. Kira noticed that other beings moved away from her as she passed. Some of them stared. Others whispered to each other. She heard fragments of conversation in the translation device fitted behind her ear. "That is the Deathworlder. From Earth, the Class 12 planet. I heard they eat other animals. Their gravity would crush me flat." Kira kept her eyes forward and her face calm. She had expected this. The briefing officers back on Earth had warned her. To most species in the galaxy, Earth was a nightmare world. A planet of extreme temperatures, violent weather, deadly diseases, and predators that killed for food. Humans had evolved in this environment. They had become something that frightened the gentler species of the galaxy. "Do not mind them," Yethrin said quietly. "Fear of the unknown is common among all thinking beings. They will learn that you are not a monster." "I know," Kira said. "I just need to show them." Her quarters were small but comfortable. The bed had been specially made to handle human weight. The temperature controls had been set to Earth normal. There was even a small window that showed the stars outside. "The Academy has never had a human student before," Yethrin explained. "There were many debates about whether to accept your application. Some council members were afraid. They thought a human would be dangerous. Others believed that understanding between species requires contact. That side won the argument, but only barely." "I understand," Kira said. "I will be careful." Yethrin's dark eyes studied her for a long moment. "You are young for your species, yes. Only 19 of your years." "Yes. And yet your government chose you for this program. Why?" Kira thought about the question. "Maybe because I am good at staying calm. Maybe because I did well in my studies. Maybe because I wanted it more than anyone else. Or perhaps," Yethrin said slowly, "because you understand something that others do not. That strength does not always mean violence. That power can be shown through patience." Kira did not answer. She was not sure if Yethrin was right. She only knew that she had dreamed of the stars since she was a child. She had learned 3 alien languages before she turned 16. She had trained her body and her mind for this chance. She would not waste it. Your classes begin tomorrow, Yethrin continued. You have been placed in the diplomacy cohort. You will study with students from 12 different species. Some of them will be friendly, others will not. I must warn you about something. What is it? There are beings at this academy who do not want humans here. They see your species as a threat. Your planet joined galactic society only 20 years ago, yet humans have already built a large fleet and established colonies on 5 worlds. Some species took thousands of years to achieve what humanity has done in 2 decades. This makes them uncomfortable. Kira nodded. I will be careful, she said again. Being careful may not be enough. Yethrin moved toward the door. There is a student named Torvax. He is Kesari. His family is wealthy and powerful. He has already spoken against your presence here. He believes humans are dangerous animals pretending to be civilized. He may try to provoke you. What should I do? Whatever you think is best. Yethrin paused at the door. But remember this. Every action you take reflects on your entire species. You are not just Kira-Chen here. You are humanity. Everything you do will be watched, recorded, and judged. If you fight, they will say humans are violent. If you run, they will say humans are weak. Finding the right path will not be easy. With those words, Yethrin left. Kira sat on her bed and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, invisible in the darkness, was Earth, her home, the planet that had made her what she was. She thought about her family, about her friends, about all the humans who would never get this chance. She would not fail them. She would show the galaxy what humanity could be. The first week at the academy passed quickly. Kira learned the layout of the station, found the best places to eat food that would not make her sick, and began her classes in diplomacy and interspecies communication. Her classmates were curious about her. Most kept their distance at first, but a few brave ones asked questions about Earth. Is it true that water falls from your sky? A small Drellian asked her one day. The Drellian looked like a bundle of soft gray feathers with 2 bright orange eyes. Yes, Kira said, we call it rain. And it does not hurt you. No, we actually need it to live. The Drellian made a sound of amazement and hurried away to tell its friends. Kira smiled. These small conversations gave her hope. Maybe Yethrin was right. Maybe understanding could grow from simple moments like this. But not everyone wanted to understand. She met Torvax on her 4th day. She was sitting alone in the common eating area, working on a translation exercise when a shadow fell across her table. She looked up to find a tall reptilian being standing over her. His scales were dark green, almost black, and his eyes were yellow with vertical pupils like a snake. He wore expensive clothes decorated with gold thread. Behind him stood 2 other Kesari, smaller and younger. They watched Kira with cold eyes. So this is the human, Torvax said. His voice was deep and rough like stones grinding together. The famous Deathworlder. Kira closed her tablet and stood up slowly. She was not short for a human, but Torvax was still taller than her by a full head. She made sure to keep her movements calm and unthreatening. My name is Kira Chen, she said. It is nice to meet you. Torvax laughed. It was not a friendly sound. Nice to meet me. How polite, how civilized. They have trained you well, animal. The word stung, but Kira did not let it show on her face. I am not an animal, she said quietly. I am a student the same as you. The same as me, Torvax leaned closer. She could smell something sour on his breath. You are nothing like me, human. My family has been trading across the galaxy for 3,000 years. We built empires while your ancestors were still throwing rocks at each other. You do not belong here. Other students had stopped eating. They were watching now, waiting to see what would happen. Kira felt their eyes on her like physical weight. I earned my place here, she said. I passed the same tests as everyone else. Tests, Torvax made a spitting sound. They lowered the standards to let you in. Everyone knows this. The council wanted to study the Deathworlder up close. You are not a student, you are an experiment. Kira felt anger rising in her chest. She pushed it down. She remembered Yethrin's words. Everything she did would be judged. I am sorry you feel that way, she said. Perhaps we can talk more when you are calmer. She started to walk away. A scaled hand grabbed her arm. I did not give you permission to leave, animal. Kira stopped. She looked down at the hand on her arm. Torvax's grip was tight but not painful. She could break free easily. She could do much more than that. On Earth, she had trained in self-defense since she was 8 years old. She knew exactly how to hurt someone without killing them. She knew how to kill too. But that was not why she was here. Please let go of my arm, she said. Or what? Torvax squeezed harder. What will you do, human? Will you attack me? Will you show everyone what your species really is? The watching students held their breath. Some looked scared. Some looked excited. None of them moved to help. Kira met Torvax's yellow eyes. She let herself feel the anger, truly feel it, and then she let it go. Like water flowing around a rock. Like wind passing through branches. I will ask again, she said. Her voice was as calm as still water. And again, as many times as it takes, please let go of my arm. Something flickered in Torvax's eyes. Confusion, maybe. He had expected her to fight or run. He had not expected this. For a long moment, they stood frozen. Then Torvax released her arm with a sound of disgust. Pathetic, he said. You are not even worth the trouble. Enjoy your time here, Deathworlder. It will not last long. He walked away. His followers went with him. The watching students slowly returned to their meals, whispering to each other. Kira sat back down at her table. Her hands were shaking slightly. She pressed them flat against the surface until they stopped. Over the following days, Torvax continued his campaign. He never touched her again, but he found other ways to make her life difficult. He mocked her in class, calling her slow and primitive. He convinced other students to avoid her. He spread rumors that humans carried diseases that could kill other species. Some of the rumors were believed. Kira noticed that fewer students sat near her in the dining hall. A group project partner asked to be reassigned to a different team. Even some of the teachers seemed nervous around her. But Kira did not break. She attended every class. She completed every assignment. She remained polite to everyone, even those who treated her badly. When Torvax insulted her planet's history of war, she agreed that humans had made many mistakes and were still learning. When he called her a predator pretending to be civilized, she smiled and said nothing. Some students began to notice. A Drellian named Pip started sitting with her at meals, asking questions about Earth. A crystalline being called Harmony shared notes with her when she missed a class. Even Yethrin seemed quietly proud during their weekly meetings. You are handling this better than I expected, the Velthari said. It is not easy, Kira admitted. Sometimes I want to scream, sometimes I want to hit something, but that would only prove him right. So instead you do nothing. No, Kira looked at her advisor with tired eyes. I wait, I learn. I show them who I really am, not who they expect me to be. Eventually, the truth becomes impossible to ignore. Yethrin made a soft sound that might have been approval. And if it does not work, if Torvax never accepts you, then that is his choice, Kira said. I cannot control what others think. I can only control what I do. What she did not say was that her patience had limits. What she did not say was that she hoped, very much, that those limits would never be tested. She had no way of knowing how soon that hope would be broken. The practical seminar on conflict management was held in a large circular room on the Academy's 4th level. Curved benches rose up from the central floor, allowing students to watch demonstrations from above. The walls were lined with screens that could display scenarios, statistics, and real-time translations. Kira entered the room and found her usual seat near the back. She nodded to Pip, who waved a feathery limb in greeting. Harmony's crystalline body chimed softly in acknowledgement. A few other students glanced at her and quickly looked away. The instructor was a being called Professor Vex. He belonged to a species called the Morath, who looked somewhat like large blue slugs with multiple arms ending in delicate fingers. Professor Vex was considered one of the galaxy's finest experts on peaceful conflict resolution. He had negotiated an end to 3 interstellar wars. "Today we will practice de-escalation techniques," Professor Vex announced. His voice came out as a series of bubbling sounds that the translation devices turned into clear words. Conflict is inevitable when different species interact. The goal is not to eliminate conflict but to manage it wisely. Kira listened carefully. This was her favorite class. She found it fascinating how different species handled disagreements. Some cultures valued direct confrontation. Others preferred indirect approaches. Some used elaborate rituals to express displeasure without violence. "I need 2 volunteers," Professor Vex continued. "One will play the role of an aggrieved party seeking justice. The other will attempt to negotiate a peaceful solution." Several hands went up. Kira raised hers too. She wanted to prove that she could be trusted with important tasks. "Excellent," Professor Vex said. His many eyes scanned the room. "For the negotiator role, I select the human student. Kira Chen, please come to the center floor." A murmur went through the room. Kira stood and made her way down the steps. She kept her face neutral despite the surprise. She had not expected to be chosen so soon. "For the aggrieved party," Professor Vex continued, "I need someone who can convincingly portray anger and hostility. Who would like to volunteer?" "I will do it." Kira's heart sank. She knew that voice. She turned to see Torvax rising from his seat, his yellow eyes fixed on her with cold amusement. His 2 followers whispered to each other, looking pleased. "Ah, Torvax of the Kesari," Professor Vex said. "Excellent. Your species has a proud warrior tradition. You should be able to portray hostility effectively. Please join us." Torvax walked down to the central floor. He moved slowly, deliberately, making Kira wait. When he reached her, he stood close enough that she could see the individual scales on his face. "This will be educational," he said quietly. Only she could hear him, "for everyone." Professor Vex positioned them facing each other across the circular floor. "The scenario is simple. Torvax, you will represent a trader who believes he has been cheated in a business deal. You are angry and demand compensation. Kira, your task is to calm the situation and find a solution that satisfies both parties. Remember, the goal is peaceful resolution, not victory." "I understand," Kira said. "Perfectly clear," Torvax agreed. Something in his voice made Kira uneasy. "Begin," Professor Vex said. Torvax started his performance. He complained about being cheated. He raised his voice. He gestured wildly. Kira responded calmly, asking questions, showing understanding, offering possible solutions. It was all textbook material. She had studied these techniques for months. Then Torvax changed the script. "Words are useless," he declared loudly. His hand moved inside his robe. "Let me show you how Kesari settled disputes." He pulled out a knife. The room went completely silent. The blade was about 20 centimeters long, curved like a claw and gleaming with a sharp edge. Kira recognized it from her studies. A Kesari honor blade, traditionally used in duels to the death. "This is a surprise element in our scenario," Torvax announced to the watching students. "Sometimes negotiations fail. Sometimes the other party becomes violent. What does our Deathworlder do now?" Professor Vex made a wet, alarmed sound. "This is not part of the exercise. Put that weapon away immediately." Torvax ignored him. He took a step toward Kira, holding the knife in front of him. "Come on, human. Show us what you really are. Show us the predator inside that civilized mask." Kira did not move. She looked at the knife, then at Torvax's face. He was enjoying this. He wanted her to panic. He wanted her to attack. Either response would destroy everything she had worked for. "Put the knife away," she said calmly. "This is not necessary." "Necessary?" Torvax laughed. "I am teaching these soft creatures what humans really are. I am showing them the truth. You Deathworlders solve every problem with violence. It is in your nature. It is in your blood." He took another step forward. The knife caught the light. "Security has been notified," Professor Vex called out. His voice was shaking. "Please remain calm. Help is coming." But Torvax was not waiting for security. He moved closer to Kira, the blade weaving slowly through the air between them. The watching students were frozen in their seats. Some looked terrified. Others seemed unable to look away, like creatures watching a predator hunt. "When I was young," Torvax said, "my father told me stories about Deathworlders, about creatures so dangerous that entire planets were quarantined to keep them contained. And now one of those creatures stands before me, pretending to be civilized, pretending to be harmless." He pointed the knife at her face. "I want to see what you really are, human, behind the politeness, behind the patience. Show me the monster." The room held its breath. Every eye was on Kira. The knife gleamed centimeters from her nose. Torvax's yellow eyes burned with hatred and something else. Anticipation. He truly believed she was a monster. He truly believed she would prove him right. Kira looked at the knife. She looked at Torvax. She looked at all the frightened faces watching from above. And then, against all logic, against all expectation, she smiled. Not a nervous smile, not a frightened smile. A genuine, warm smile, like a person greeting an old friend. Torvax froze. This was not the reaction he had expected. "What are you smiling at, animal?" "You," Kira said softly. "I am smiling at you." "Why?" His voice had lost some of its confidence. "Are you insane? I have a knife pointed at your face." "I know," Kira said. Her smile did not waver. "I can see it very clearly. It is a beautiful blade. Kesari craftsmanship is famous across the galaxy." Torvax stared at her, his scaled brow furrowed in confusion. This was wrong. This was all wrong. She should be afraid. She should be attacking. She should be doing something that made sense. "You do not understand," he said. "I could kill you right now." "You could try," Kira agreed pleasantly. And something in her eyes changed. The change in Kira's eyes lasted only a fraction of a second. It was something old and deep, something that had been shaped by millions of years on a world where only the strongest survived. It was not anger. It was not fear. It was pure, focused awareness. The awareness of a creature that had stood at the top of its planet's food chain since before it could speak. Torvax saw it. His confident smile faltered. What happened next was too fast for most species in the room to follow clearly. Later, when the security officers reviewed the recordings, they would slow the footage down to 1/10 speed just to see what Kira had done. She moved. One moment she was standing still, hands at her sides, that strange smile on her face. The next moment she was inside Torvax's guard, past the knife, close enough to whisper in his ear. Her left hand caught his knife arm at the wrist. She did not grab or squeeze. She simply redirected. The blade swept harmlessly past her shoulder, cutting nothing but air. At the same instant, her right hand came up. 2 fingers pressed against a spot at the base of Torvax's skull, just where his spine met his brain. She applied pressure. Not much, just enough. Torvax's eyes rolled back in his head. His body went completely limp. He collapsed like a puppet with cut strings, falling straight down onto the floor. The knife slipped from his fingers and clattered across the smooth surface. The entire exchange took 1.7 seconds. Kira stood alone in the center of the room. Torvax lay unconscious at her feet. His two followers had jumped up from their seats, but they did not move to help him. They were too shocked to do anything except stare. The silence in the room was absolute. Kira bent down and picked up the knife. She examined it briefly, checking that it was undamaged. Then she walked over to Professor Vex and placed the weapon gently on his desk. "I apologize for the disruption," she said. Her voice was calm and polite, as if nothing unusual had happened. "Shall we continue with the lesson?" Professor Vex made a gurgling sound. His multiple arms trembled. That is, the lesson is, concluded for today, yes, concluded." Security officers burst into the room at that moment. 3 armored Drellians with weapons drawn. They looked around wildly, expecting chaos, expecting violence. Instead, they found a quiet room full of stunned students and one unconscious Kesari on the floor. "What happened here?" the lead officer demanded. "A student drew a weapon during class," Professor Vex managed to say. "The human student resolved the situation." The officers looked at Kira. She stood quietly, hands folded in front of her, waiting for instructions. She looked like a polite student at a formal event, not like someone who had just disabled a larger opponent in less than 2 seconds. "Is he dead?" one of the officers asked, pointing at Torvax. "No," Kira said. "He should wake up in approximately 10 minutes. He may have a headache. I would recommend water and rest." The officers exchanged uncertain looks. One of them knelt beside Torvax and confirmed that he was alive and breathing normally. "You need to come with us," the lead officer said to Kira, "for questioning." "Of course," Kira agreed. She gathered her tablet and bag from her seat and followed them out of the room. Behind her, she could hear the whispers starting. The other students were finally finding their voices. They spoke in hushed tones, trying to understand what they had just witnessed. "Did you see how fast she moved? I could not even track her. One moment she was there and then. She was not even trying. Did you see her face? She was smiling the whole time. The Kesari is twice her size. She dropped him like he was nothing. I thought humans were supposed to be primitive. That was not primitive. That was." Nobody could find the right word. Kira spent the next 4 hours in the security station. Officers asked her questions. She answered them honestly and completely. She explained that Torvax had drawn a weapon. She explained that she had felt threatened. She explained that she had used the minimum force necessary to end the threat without causing permanent harm. "How did you know where to strike him?" an investigator asked. "That pressure point is not commonly known outside Kesari medical circles." "I studied Kesari anatomy before coming to the academy," Kira said. "I wanted to understand the species I would be living with. The location of major nerve clusters was part of that study." "You studied how to disable every species here." "I studied their anatomy. I studied their history. I studied their cultures. Knowing how to protect myself without causing lasting harm seemed like basic preparation." The investigator was quiet for a long moment. Eventually, Yethrin arrived. The Velthari advisor spoke with the security officers in private. When they returned, the lead investigator told Kira she was free to go. "Security footage confirms your account," the investigator said. "You acted in self-defense. The Kesari student was clearly the aggressor. He will face disciplinary review." "Thank you," Kira said. She walked out of the security station with Yethrin. They moved through quiet corridors toward her quarters. For a long time, neither of them spoke. "You knew," Yethrin finally said. "When he pulled that knife, you knew exactly what you would do." "Yes." "How long did you know?" Kira thought about the question. "I started planning when he grabbed my arm in the dining hall. I hoped I would never need to use any of those plans, but I was ready if I did." Yethrin's dark eyes studied her. "You were never truly in danger, were you? Not from him." "Torvax is bigger than me and stronger than me," Kira said carefully. "In a fair fight of pure strength, he would probably win, But fighting was never my plan. Ending the threat as quickly and safely as possible was my plan. And the smile before you moved. Kira was quiet for a moment. On Earth, we have many predators. Some of them are very dangerous. Do you know the best way to handle a predator that is threatening you? I do not. You do not show fear. Fear tells the predator that you are prey. You do not show aggression. Aggression tells the predator that you are a challenge, a threat that must be eliminated. The best response is calm confidence. You show the predator that you are not afraid and you are not a threat, but you are also not prey. You are simply not worth the trouble. Yethrin considered this. You smiled to show him that you were not afraid. I smiled because I was not afraid, Kira corrected gently. There is a difference. They reached her quarters. Kira paused at the door. What happens now? She asked. That depends on many things, Yethrin said. The Academy Council will meet tomorrow to discuss the incident. Torvax's family will certainly protest. They have much influence, but you have the security footage on your side, and now everyone knows what humans are capable of when pushed. That was not what I wanted them to learn. Yethrin tilted its narrow head. No, then what did you want? Kira opened her door and stepped inside. She turned back to face her advisor. I wanted them to see that I could have done much worse, she said, and I chose not to. The door closed between them. News of the incident spread through the academy like fire through dry grass. By the next morning, every student and teacher knew what had happened. Some versions of the story were accurate. Others had grown in the telling, turning Kira into a one-woman army who had defeated a dozen armed attackers without breaking a sweat. The Academy Council met for 6 hours. Kira was not allowed to attend, but Yethrin kept her informed. Torvax's family sent angry messages demanding that the human be expelled. They claimed their son had been attacked without provocation. They threatened to withdraw their financial support from the academy. The council reviewed the security footage. They watched Torvax draw his weapon. They watched him threaten Kira with the knife. They watched her stand perfectly still, offering no violence, giving every opportunity for peaceful resolution. They watched her move only when it became clear that words would not stop him. The vote was unanimous. Torvax was expelled from the academy that afternoon. He was escorted to a transport ship by security officers. His 2 followers left with him, unwilling to face the other students without their leader. Kira watched from a window as their ship departed. She did not feel happy. She did not feel victorious. She felt tired. You should rest, Pip said. The small Drellian had come to check on her after hearing the news. You have been through a stressful experience. I am fine, Kira said, but thank you for caring. Everyone is talking about you, Pip continued. Not bad things, different things than before. They are saying you could have killed him easily. They are saying you chose to be gentle instead. I just wanted him to stop. Pip made a soft chirping sound that Kira had learned meant affection. You are very strange for a Deathworlder. I like you. Kira smiled, a real smile this time, warm and genuine. I like you too, Pip. The next few days brought more changes. Students who had avoided Kira began approaching her. Some wanted to apologize for believing the rumors about humans. Others simply wanted to talk, to understand, to connect. A tall purple being named Vessel asked if humans really needed to sleep every day. A group of young Morath wanted to know if Earth truly had creatures that hunted humans for food. A shy crystalline student named Melody gathered the courage to ask why Kira had not killed Torvax when she had the chance. Because killing was not necessary, Kira explained. On Earth, we have a saying, the measure of a person is not what they can do, it is what they choose to do. But he threatened your life, Melody said. In my culture, that would justify any response. In my culture too, Kira admitted. Many humans would have hurt him badly in my position. Some might have killed him. I chose differently because I want to be the kind of person who finds another way, not because I am weak, not because I could not hurt him, but because I believe there is always another way if you are willing to find it. Melody's crystal body chimed softly. That is not what I expected from a Deathworlder. That is the point, Kira said gently. We are more than where we come from, all of us. Even some of the teachers treated her differently now. Professor Vex made a point of thanking her in front of the class for how she had handled the situation. Other instructors began including her more actively in discussions. Counselor Yethrin visited her quarters one evening, carrying a small package. The council wanted you to have this, Yethrin said, as a gesture of appreciation. Kira opened the package. Inside was a small medal shaped like a star, made from some silvery metal she did not recognize. An inscription on the back read, "For excellence in conflict resolution." They gave me an award, Kira said, slightly stunned. You earned it. What you did in that room was the most effective de-escalation anyone has seen in decades. You ended a violent confrontation in less than 2 seconds with 0 deaths and 0 permanent injuries. Even the textbooks will have difficulty matching that. I just did what I was trained to do. Yes, Yethrin's dark eyes gleamed. And that is exactly what frightens people. A human trained for violence is terrifying, but a human trained for peace, who chooses restraint even when violence would be easier. That is something new, something the galaxy has never seen before. Kira turned the medal over in her hands. Do you think things will be different now, for humans at the Academy? I think things will never be the same, Yethrin said. But whether different means better or worse depends on what humans do next. You have shown the galaxy one path. Others of your kind will have to choose whether to follow it. A knock came at the door. Kira opened it to find a young student she did not recognize. The being was small and thin, with pale gray skin and large nervous eyes. It floated slightly above the floor, kept aloft by some form of natural ability. Are you Kira Chen? The student asked. Its voice was barely above a whisper. The human. I am. My name is Cloud. I am new at the Academy. I come from a low-gravity world. Everything here is so heavy, so difficult. Cloud's eyes filled with moisture. I was trying to carry my belongings to my quarters, but I cannot lift them. The gravity is too strong. I heard that humans are very strong. I heard that you are kind. Could you possibly help me? Kira looked at the small creature. So fragile, so frightened, so far from home. She knew exactly how that felt. Of course, she said, show me where your things are. They walked together through the academy corridors. Cloud floated beside her, too weak to walk in the station's standard gravity. Other students watched them pass. Some whispered, some smiled. The famous Deathworlder, the one who had defeated an armed Kesari without a weapon, was helping a first-year student carry luggage. What is Earth like? Cloud asked as they walked. It is beautiful, Kira said, and dangerous and wonderful. We have mountains that touch the clouds. We have oceans so deep that light cannot reach the bottom. We have forests and deserts and ice fields and jungles. Are there really predators everywhere? There are predators, but there is also kindness. There are animals that protect their young with their lives. There are creatures that help other species without any reward. We have a saying on Earth, the strongest survive, but the wisest thrive. Cloud absorbed this information silently. They reached the storage area where the young student's belongings waited. Several large cases sat on the floor. Kira picked them up easily, 2 in each hand. You are very strong, Cloud observed. Where I come from, this is normal, Kira said. But strength is just one tool. It is not the only one, and it is not always the best one. They continued toward Cloud's new quarters. The young student had many questions about Earth, about humans, about gravity and weather, and all the things that were so different from its home world. Kira answered each question patiently. She told stories about Earth's history, about human mistakes and human triumphs, about the long journey from primitive hunters to galactic travelers. She spoke about the importance of choosing peace when war would be easier, about the strength it takes to hold back when you could strike. When they reached Cloud's quarters, the young student thanked her many times. Kira just smiled and wished it luck with its studies. Walking back to her own room, Kira looked out a window at the stars. Somewhere out there was Earth. Somewhere out there was humanity, waiting to see what place they would hold in the galaxy. She did not have all the answers. She did not know if she had done the right thing, but she knew one thing for certain. The galaxy was watching, and humans would show them who they truly were. One choice at a time,